welcome back in. It is The Scoop, third episode of the off-season, and the third one that you're getting this week. Welcome back in. This is a Century Baseball podcast. You can find us everywhere at Century Baseball. All kinds of content coming out all the time, but welcome back in. Some off-season news and some topics to go over in today's episode, as a couple of big reports have come out over the past few days from people like Jeff Passan, Mark Feinsand, a couple of big things that came out with. Like I just saw the news, the Rays will be playing at Steinbrenner Stadium for all of their home games this year, which is the spring training facility of the New York Yankees. So we don't really need to look over that much. The only thing you need to know about that is the Yankees will be gaining another $15 million that they might use on Juan Soto. We'll see. Probably not. Anyway, trade rumors are starting to boil a lot as well. So we'll take a look into that. We'll go over some free agent updates, and we're actually going to do something here for the first time this year that we'll do every week, really through the whole entire offseason and through the whole season. So we will be doing an MLB teams tier list, and we'll update it constantly every week. Whenever there's a change to make, we will be updating the tier list. So thank you very much for joining me today. Sam Napoli here with you on The Scoop. We are sponsored by SeatGeek. You can use code Century17 on SeatGeek. Grabs yourself $20 off your first purchase of $50 or more. I know baseball is not going on right now. The fall league is around, so if you're in Arizona, you can do that. But there's NFL, NBA, NHL, all kinds of stuff. I'm pretty sure you could get concerts and stuff on SeatGeek too. They got tons of different events every single day. So make sure you guys are using code Century17 on SeatGeek whenever you do choose to go to anything that has a ticket. Make sure you guys do that. A lot of content being pumped out recently. Hopefully we can continue that short form as well. So if you want to go check all that out, most of it is concentrated to the Century Baseball YouTube channel and stuff like that. But you get the full-length podcast, couple of shorts on the Scoop channel as well. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers on that Century Baseball channel, so make sure you guys go over there and subscribe. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into the first topic for today, which is some trade stuff. There's really been a couple of big things that have come out recently in that a couple guys have been put on the trade block. I think of an Alec Boehm, Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lau, guys like that who we probably will know they're going to be traded this offseason. There's a couple of teams that kind of are interesting ones when it comes to trades. But this article by Feinsand of MLB, it's the all-trade rumor team. I know you can't see it on the screen. It's right above. But I'm not sure how much I believe in this article after giving it a glance, but there's definitely a couple we can go over. So we can start here with Garrett Crochet. He'll be traded. He's very young. He's got nasty stuff. He's done it for a year, though, and he used to be in the bullpen, so it's kind of like he's a risky one for sure. There's a lot of suitors. The Phillies are a big one. They've been talked about for Crochet. Even apparently they gave the most competitive offer for him at the trade deadline, which I was a little surprised he wasn't dealt. But a lot of holdback was that if he was going to get traded, he said that he wanted an extension immediately. So there's a little bit of a deal breaker for some people just because he doesn't really earn a big extension yet. And he's nasty. And was really good last year, but I can't say he's earned a big contract yet. Garrett Crochet will be traded. As far as what they'll get back for him, he's a young, very controllable, left-handed pitcher. He's got 2 years left, so he's got this year and next year. How much is that worth? I really don't know. The trade market has been really weird recently. So, let's take, what's a good example for a team that might need, the Phillies are a good one. They'd probably need to trade one of their bigger prospects. You think of an Aiden Miller, Justin Crawford, Starling Caba, guys like that. Miller and Crawford are definitely in a tier of their own above everyone else, but even Starling Caba is like a pretty legit prospect in the Phillies organization. What it would take to get Crochet, the White Sox are still in rebuilding mode. They need young talent. They need prospect talent, something like that. So you might even be able to get away with a 1-for-1. And if you want to bring over, I don't know, if you're trying to get Luis Robert, who I think is in this article, in the same trade, let me just make sure of that. Yeah, he is in this article too. If you're trying to get them in the same trade, which does make the most sense, to be honest, for a team that's acquiring them, then maybe you add in something else. Robert's not cheap, and he didn't have a great year last year. So it's almost like you're taking him on. He's young, yeah, I get it. He's got good upside, but you're still taking on pretty hefty salary, over 20 mil. And then Crochet is the one who's young. He's got the control, and you can work with that. So Crochet, Phillies are a good suitor. Honestly, the Padres could be a good suitor for him as well. And they seem very likely, if they can pull some kind of prospect capital out and try to make another trade with the White Sox for starting pitcher, Padres make a lot of sense. They probably need to bring in a starter, especially with Musgrove having Tommy John for this coming year. That's one that definitely makes a lot of sense. Devin Williams is an interesting one as we move to reliever. Another one where the Phillies feel like a great fit. Everyone's got Phillies all over this one because they're going to need a reliever of some kind to replace Jeff Hoffman. $10.5 million club option for 25. He's under control in his final year of ARB for this year. So he's only a 1-year deal. And he's expendable from the Brewers because the Brewers pull relievers and pitching out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So he's expendable for the Brewers. What his market looks like, it's probably not much at all. It's maybe one top 100 prospect, lower end. But this would be the type of deal where you would think about doing like if the Phillies wanted to bring in Devin Williams, this is where you maybe think about trying to put in Alec Boehm into this kind of thing. That feels like a very win-win trade, both sides, because the Brewers are going to probably move Joey Ortiz to shortstop, and they need a third baseman. Alec Boehm feels like a player the Brewers could really tap into, especially power-wise. Feels like something they could fix. And they can expend Devin Williams for it. 1-for-1, I don't know about that. I think the Brewers probably should have to give up maybe a little bit more, attach some other young player or someone who could play the outfield for the Phillies. But because Boehm's got 2 years, and Boehm is probably more valuable than Devin Williams is. But overall, that 1-for-1 seems like it definitely could be a possibility. That's the type of trade you're probably going to see, is those contenders trying to kind of just shake things up a little bit. So Devin Williams definitely is one you could see. Other than that, like you could see the Yankees trying to go out and get him because they need a closer probably. I don't know if Weaver stays in that role for next year. Who knows? I think he's better of a setup man. But catcher, there's not much. Like Christian Vasquez, I don't know. I guess there's a very, very, very slight possibility the Phillies try to deal Real Muto. The Phillies are a big one just because they openly said they're going to trade some guys and try to shake things up. But Vasquez is really kind of nothing, and he signed that 3-year deal a couple years back. I think this is the last year of it. $10 million. He's old. It's not much. Catchers are kind of at a premium. When you find years, you lock him up. Yandy Diaz is an interesting one because he's aging, and he kind of, I can't say, probably his worst year that he's had was in 2024. Definitely. 2023, an absolute monster. He had an OPS in the 8s, hit 297. And his average, he hits the ball hard. He hits the ball very hard. Well, like he's under contract for 2 years, it looks like, 2025 and 2026. There's no buyout. He's got a club option, 12 mil, which easily could be picked up because he's worth that and maybe more. He's aging. That's probably why the Rays want to expend him. But as far as suitors, I mean, I could see the Astros would be a great suitor. Astros would be perfect for Yandy Diaz, especially if Bregman doesn't come back because he's a corner. He plays third and first, mostly first, but those will both become needs for the Astros. That's a great fit to me. But what it would take to get him, probably nothing. A young outfielder maybe, and maybe some very low-end prospect. So for the Astros, that makes a lot of sense. A team like the Diamondbacks makes a lot of sense if they don't retain Walker and they want to go to the trade. Speaking of the Diamondbacks, which we can kind of move past Yandy Diaz, that's a good fit for the Astros. That's what I like. It's not on this article, but they say they want to trade Jordan Montgomery, and they want to eat some of the money that they gave to him. So they're kind of punting on that whole deal that they gave him last year. Rightly so. That kind of blew up in their face. So did Eduardo Rodriguez. Montgomery was worse, though. So that's when they're trying to move off of. I think it's a 5-year deal. He's got 4 years left. Pretty big money. So Montgomery's that one that I could definitely see happening. I don't really know where he goes, to be honest. Like, maybe the Rangers try to grab him back because they need starting pitching and they were able to tap into him when he was there. But I don't know. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense for really any team. Even the Dodgers, who would eat the money, like, starting pitching's not even close to a need for them. Same with the Yankees. Like, starting pitching's not really a need. So, Yankees more than Dodgers, for sure. But the Dodgers had a good rotation. Then they had a whole rotation on the IL. And Shohei's going to come back and pitch. I don't really know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for them. So, I don't know where he goes. One Ray to another, though. Brandon Lau. He feels like he could be at a premium because he's just kind of like one of the best at his position. Second base is not a deep position at all. So second basemen who are good, and Lau plays a good second base, and he's a power threat. Hit over 30 home runs. I want to say it was 2022. It feels like Lau could bring in more than Diaz could. They exercised the club option, but yeah, they said that they're going to put him on the trade block for sure. And there's a club option for 11.5 and 26. So if it doesn't work, they can decline that. It's not even a player option, club option. So that's definitely one that could happen. Where he would go, insert any team. I mean, you could, like, the Mariners could definitely be a fit for him. He does strike out a little bit, but they just need hitters, and that's someone they could take a chance on. Jorge Polanco blew up in their face last year, which he's going to be a free agent now. But Brandon Lau is one I could see. Mariners make a little bit of sense. Even like a team like the Angels, if they want to take a flyer on him, I don't know if they'd make the trade, but that's definitely a possibility, stuff like that. Shortstop. Bo Bichette, I don't believe a lot in this one. I think if they were going to trade him, it would have been last year. He was hurt and he was bad last year. Big ARB salary, though, this year. $16.5 million for this coming year for Bo Bichette. So, and he's coming off his worst year. So for the Blue Jays, it makes 0 sense. He's a free agent after next year. It just doesn't make sense for them to try to trade him now. If they're bad, trade him at the deadline. Right now, Bo Bichette being dealt makes 0 sense, especially with Vladdy having the year he did. You're looking to be active in free agency. They're trying to get Juan Soto. Dealing Bichette makes no sense, especially because he probably is going to be a lot better for this coming year. So I don't believe in the Bo Bichette trade hype really at all. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We can move on to third base. There's 2. I know they have Ryan McMahon here, but because I'm not going to talk about trades really any other place, we can talk about Ryan McMahon, and then we'll talk about Alec Bohm. McMahon's under contract for a while. Yeah, 3 and 44 left on the 6-year deal he signed. You can see right there. He signed that 6-year deal. That's already 3 years ago. It's kind of crazy. But he's right in his prime. And there's a lot of suitors. Like, the guy's a Gold Glover, great power, maybe strikes out a little more than you want, but as a third baseman, like, that's real deal. Phillies, I'm going to say no. I think they're looking for like a Bregman guy. They want someone who's going to be good in the playoffs. We don't really know about McMahon, to be honest, but 3 for 44, like, that's good value for McMahon, especially a Gold Glover. The Yankees, I've been saying it for years. The Yankees make a lot of sense for McMahon. They can take on, it's not a hefty contract at all. They need a guy who can pick it at third base, and his swing plays really well to that park. The strikeouts doesn't really give them that contact hitter that they need, but McMahon is a great option. They've been linked to him for a while now. If he gets traded, like, the Rockies don't really like to trade anybody. Just never really have. Like, Arenado's the one guy they actually did trade, and that was in an offseason. So I don't really know what to do with that. McMahon, sure, it would be a nice fit for the Yankees. One that I think would be a better fit for the Yankees, and this is what I'm talking about, those contender trades. I think Alec Bohm is perfect for the Bronx. He's the kind of hitter that they need, and they can teach him to hit for power, but Bohm's never going to be a strikeout guy. He just isn't. He strikes out about, I want to say, is around 15% of the time as a third baseman, and he had his best year this year. It's just that playoffs came, he wasn't great. And the Phillies are looking to shake things up, and he seems the most expendable. He's got this year and he's got next year left on his arbitration eligibility, but the Yankees make a lot of sense for that. So third base, there's a couple of options there. Let's move into the outfield. Luis Robert, we kind of talked about. I think that he kind of gets thrown in with Crochet. I think his value is at an all-time low right now, coming off his worst year as well for a really bad team. And he's had a hard time staying healthy, so he's kind of a high-risk kind of player. I don't know. They might just hold on to him until he hits free agency. So we can move pretty quickly past this. This article's got Castellanos. I think for the Phillies, it makes zero sense. He's got 20 mil, 2 years, 20 mil each year, so 2 for 40 left on the contract. What you're going to get back for Castellanos doesn't impact, like it doesn't make much sense to trade him away because you're not going to get anything back for him. It's a hefty contract. He's more valuable to you just playing every day than he is being traded and what you're going to get back, because it's going to be nothing. Unless they throw him in with Alec Boehm, if they trade both of them, him and Boehm get traded somewhere, they're able to bring something back, some real deal piece that's going to play every day for them. I don't see it happening. So Castellanos doesn't make a lot of sense. But if they are to deal him by himself, what teams make sense? It's got to be a team that's going to be willing to take on money. So maybe it's like a Blue Jays or something like that. Like, I don't know. There's not many suitors for a guy who's 2 years, 40 mil. And like, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the Phillies to try to deal him. So I don't believe in that one. The Angels, Taylor Ward, but as far as what they're doing this offseason, it doesn't look like they're going to look to trade anybody. It looks like they're trying to get better, and Taylor Ward's kind of part of their core that they have, if they even have one. He's getting towards free agency, so I could see that as being kind of the reason why he might be on this list, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense for the Angels and what they're doing. If they are to get rid of him, there's a lot of suitors. He's kind of like a 250 hitter. Yeah, 25 homers, 75 RBIs. He's 30. Sure, he has value. This thing's like he has value on the trade market, sure, but how much? Probably not a lot. They'd probably be looking to group him in with someone else, maybe a prospect, and try to get a young major league player who can play the outfield for them. So just try to get a little bit younger. I don't know where that would come from, but sure, there's suitors. Like even in division, you think about the Mariners who could definitely use him. Problem is like home runs and hitters go to die in Seattle, so it's gonna be hard for them to bring anybody in. But I don't think he gets dealt. I really don't think any of the outfielders they have on this list get dealt. But DH, they put Brent Rooker down. We've been talking about him getting traded for a while. His value, on the other hand, is at an all-time high right now. I don't know if a team's going to look to get him now. Probably at the deadline, if at all. What's his contract situation look like? He had a ridiculous year. 39 homers, 927 OPS is ridiculous. 69 homers, 876 the last 2 years. But what does his contract situation look like? 3 years of control if you acquire him. So 25, 26, 27. It's pretty ridiculous. He's 30 now. So he's in his prime years. So I'd be a guy, you're not contractually locked up to him, and you'd probably be able to move off of him if it doesn't work. So I don't think the A's do it. Like they said, they've come out and said that they want to keep him around. So I don't think the A's do it, but it would make sense. And there's a lot of, he strikes out like a lot, like a third of the time. So he needs to cut down on that. But I mean, it worked for him last year. 39 homers is no joke for Brent Rooker. Suitors, teams who need a DH, it's a lot. It's a lot. That's the bottom line, is that it's a lot. I would love if the Reds try to go pick him out, because I think they could use a DH, a real deal guy like this in that ballpark too. That's a great fit. Would they go out and do it? I don't know. He's cheap. He's 3 years, so he definitely could. But that feels like probably the best suitor that's out there for him, unless it's going to be like the Blue Jays or something like that. But yeah, this article, the 3 outfielders, I'm not really in on at all. Bo Bichette, I don't think gets dealt either. But other than that, Like Vasquez probably will get traded, but it's just like that doesn't really move the needle for anyone at all. So other than that, pretty good. It's fine sand. I'll link the article in the description if you want to give it a read. But yeah, the big deal last year, Soto. I forget he was a trade, dude. Anyway, so that's what we've got for that trades. We can quickly go over some free agent updates. There hasn't really been very much. Let me just give this a refresh just in case anything has happened. But it doesn't look like really the big free agent thing was Travis d'Arnaud got signed. Yeah, so let me pull this up real quick. This is the hot stove. Travis d'Arnaud, I highlighted. He got the 2-year deal from the Angels. And they also brought in, who was it? It was Kevin Newman today. Kevin Newman got signed there as well. Club out 2-year deal with an option. d'Arnaud is also 2-year. I don't really know what they're doing. Kyle Hendricks, we talked about it a little bit the last podcast, but yeah, there's not a lot going on so far. It's a little bit of a slower start. Probably when winter meetings come, December, that's when you're going to start to see some action. But so we got a little bit of time until free agent stuff starts to happen. But d'Arnaud signing pretty early after his club option got turned down by the Braves. So not much on the free agency front. Century Baseball merchandise is available now. Click the link in the description to get yours today. But let me just see if this will pop up right. It will. Okay. So we are going to do our first teams tier list where we'll be updating it every year. Let me just set up the tiers. We already know how it goes. Elite, great, good. And we got to add a tier as well. So we'll add one above. Then we got good, good, mid, meh, and I don't even know what should we call the last tier. We'll just call it nah. So 6 tiers: elite, great, good, mid, meh, nah. And we'll start at the bottom, work our way up, and then as there's changes to the tiers, we'll just come in here and we'll change it around because it'll save and stuff like that. So teams who are at the bottom of baseball right now, we can pretty obviously start the White Sox. Not much explaining to do there. Marlins can definitely go into this tier. I think the Athletics they are kind of more towards the second tier, but I think they definitely belong bottom tier. Other than that, I don't know if there's another team that's in the same tier of bad. Probably the Rockies. The Rockies belong in the same tier of bad. But that's kind of your 4 worst teams that you've got going right now. The White Sox, the Marlins, the Athletics, and the Rockies can stay down in the nah tier, the lowest tier. Teams are a little bit better, but not a whole lot. As of right now, I think we have to put... I want to put the Rays there. The Twins, to me, man. Oh, man. I don't like this roster at all. That's probably being a little bit harsh. They probably should be in mid, so we'll hold off on them. Even the Angels, after what they did, I don't think that they've done enough to really move the needle that much. d'Arnaud and Hendricks and I guess Kevin Newman, they're fine, but it's still not enough to really move yourself up there considerably. So we'll keep them down in the mid tier. I'm going to put the Pirates, calling them mid is probably a little bit generous, to be honest. So until they make a real deal move, I think they can go here. Sure, their top-end rotation is going to be really good. Jared Jones, you got Schuster, you got Paul Skeens, obviously. But the lineup's pretty abysmal. O'Neal Cruz is playing center field now. I don't know. I think they belong down in this tier until they prove considerably that they're not. And to be honest, that might be all, because calling any of these other teams that is just not really fair. So let me just get the teams out of the way who I know are not going to be there into this mid-tier. Cardinals are. We can start at the mid-tier with Cardinals. They're going to cut payroll. They're going to trade away a couple pieces. Goldschmidt's going to be gone. They still have a young core, but until that young core shows me that they're anything to be respected right now, I think they go in mid. They could push good. They also very easily could be meh if they make a couple, bad moves. Twins definitely go into this tier. I'm not I'm not excited for the Twins at all. I think that this really is the start of their downfall because they don't make moves. They just haven't. I don't expect them to this year either. So, not even trades, really. I can't put the Diamondbacks in the same tier. I'm going to put the Mariners in there, though. Sure, you've got talent. Julio was so bad this year. Your rotation's great. You cannot hit at all. Pitching can only get you so far, right? I mean, a great rotation is normally what wins you, but their hitting is so bad. It just does not work. So we'll put them there. I'm going to put the Blue Jays here too, just from what we saw. But if they make a relatively impactful move, they probably will move up because they kind of have like a new younger core now too. And their rotation is still good. So I kind of can believe in the Blue Jays for sure. Other than that, in the mid-tier, I'll put the Rays. Not a whole lot going for them. I kind of need to move pretty quickly past some of these. I'm going to put the Nats. Sorry, I skipped one for Matt. We'll put the Nats, down there. They might make an impact move this offseason in free agency, but until they do, can't put them much higher. Oh, man. The Reds are too good. I'm going to put them in mid. I like their roster still. Same with the Cubs. I'm going to put in mid. They have a lot of money invested. They could push good for the offseason, but especially if they make one move, they'll probably go into good. So you got that going for you. Red Sox can go in mid for sure. Not much to say for there right now. Giants can go mid for sure until they make their move. A lot of these teams need to make a move that's going to move the needle. You know what I'm saying? Should we work? I would like to go to good, but I need to eliminate the teams who I'm going to put into elite. The Dodgers are the champs. The Yankees were right there. Oh man, if they don't get Soto back though, they might get bumped. I don't know. I think the Phillies are still an elite team. Like they have the same roster back. As of right now, I don't think the Mets can go into elite. I really don't. Baltimore, I don't know. Oh, man. That's a rough one. I think I'm going to just put the 2 World Series teams in elite. I'm going to put all these kinds of teams, like the Braves, the Orioles, Padres, Mets. Yeah, that's as far as it's going to go for me. I'm going to put those 5 into great. You got the 2 World Series teams in elite. Those 5 go into great. Normally I put top 5 in elite, but I just don't think that I don't think that's warranted. Rangers need to get starting pitching before I can put them into good, so I'm going to drop them down into mid. But they still got a lot of hitting talent, and they can still be good. This good tier, I'll put the Diamondbacks there, very bottom of it, but their roster's still great. They went to the World Series with it. Guardians I'm putting down here because they're not going to make a move, and I don't know, kind of a Linsanity run this year. Is that sustainable? They need starting pitching pretty badly to sustain that. Tigers can go there. They're going to have a big offseason, but for now they go in good. And really, even after that, I think they still just stay in that good tier. I think the Astros are they're on the brink, but I think they kind of go top of this good tier. And then the Brewers, we know what they are. They're going to be good, but hopefully they can bring in someone who's going to be impactful for them. I just don't really know. And then Royals, we can hop into good as well. I expect them to go after an outfielder, and if they do, they'll probably stay in the good tier, but we can give them the respect they deserve because they just came off of a playoff series win and into the divisional round. Pretty big turnaround for them. So that's the tiers. You got the 2 World Series teams, Dodgers and Yankees up top. Phillies, Braves, Orioles, Padres, Mets go into that second great tier. The good tier is the Astros, Diamondbacks, Guardians, Tigers, Brewers, and Royals. The mid tier, it's the Cardinals, Twins, Mariners, Blue Jays, Rays, Reds, Cubs, Red Sox, Giants, and Rangers. The Mets tier is Angels, Pirates, and Nationals. And then your 4 worst teams, the White Sox, Marlins, A's, and Rockies. And that's going to do it for us today here on The Scoop. Thank you very much for watching or listening or however you consume today's episode. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the YouTube as well as Century Baseball. Follow it everywhere. Subscribe. There's content being pumped out all the time. So make sure you guys are going ahead and doing that. Have a great day. No baseball to watch, so you can't enjoy that, but enjoy the off season. have some relaxing time, and I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless. Have a great day.